Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Welcome back to Blood and Black Rum Podcast's Festivus series. This year, we're taking on all new Christmas movies, including Netflix's Hot Frosty, Christmas with the Cranks, Don't Open Till Christmas, and possibly a couple other holiday favorites. We hope you have a great holiday season, spending it with us.
Phoenix, Lake Tahoe, Albuquerque. Did I mention Cleveland? Mistake by...
Hey guys, welcome back to a festive edition of Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from ColdSweatation.com, and I'm joined with my host, Martin.
How's it going? Merry Festivus.
Merry Festivus. Yes,
Happy Chrysler.
We do not partake in the Christmas season. We partake in Festivus. I'll also accept anything to do with Krampus, any paganism. That's fine too. And also, happy Honda Days too. We could do that too. Throw that in. I'm okay.
I said not just because we own Hondas.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We just really like the product.
Walking billboards for it.
We're not John Cena. We don't have Civics, but we really like the product.
That's right. We're okay. I'm a little under the weather today, so probably sound a little bit weird. So that's the reason why I'm just nursing a cold, but we'll get through it.
You sound like he's got stuff. No,
that's right. You know what? Things are more important around here than colds. Our Festivus series does not wait. We only get a couple weeks for it because this year Thanksgiving came quite late, and so it feels like we're kind of behind the times.
Yeah.
Because normally we've already gotten started on our Christmas episodes. So anyway, we're gonna get in a few episodes this year for the Christmas season, and this episode is going to feel like a holdover from Christmases past. Last year, if you remember, we had a whole theme prepared, the Chaberting Gifts theme. Again, if you haven't gone back to listen to all those, feel free to do so. And again, it is Chaberting Gifts. That was my little pun, my little double entendre for the episodes.
What's the pun?
Because it should be bearing gifts.
Oh!
It's Lacey Chabert, so it's Chaberting Gifts. It's really good. It's really, actually, you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed that more people have not, found that, picked up on it, seen it, and was like, oh, that's pretty clever. Because, I haven't really heard anything from people. I would have expected people to stop me on the street and be like, you're the guy that came up with Chaberting Gifts? That's pretty damn good.
If anything, too, I think it's just more impressive that, here on the Blood and Black Rum Podcast, we had a mission statement, and we have totally gone off the rails. But you can think, it was a wonderful idea, because, again, where else are you, besides, I don't know, who's doing Hallmark Christmas reviews?
Yeah.
Is it Obscurus Lupa these days? I don't know.
There might be a couple people that are doing it now. There's a podcast for everything. It's like, you watch a TV show? We've got a podcast for you to listen to after you watch that TV show.
Hey, you bought this coloring book? We got a podcast.
There might be one out there for Hallmark movies. I don't know.
I can't believe we did 5 episodes.
Yeah, we did it. Like I said, we're behind the 8 ball on this season of Festivus because we're certainly not going to get to 5 episodes. We might get 3 or 4 in a New Year's episode, but I don't know if we're going to get 5 episodes. Actually, you know what, too, though? We did a New Year's episode of Chaberting Gifts, so that's why we did 5. That's right. But yeah, for Chaberting Gifts, we did all of the Lacey... not all of. There's a lot of them. We did a number of Lacey Chabert Hallmark Christmas movies because we thought it would be a fun and interesting excursion, and it was. So again, you should go back and listen to those. But today, it seems like this should be a Hallmark Christmas episode with Lacey Chabert, but it's not. But we definitely wanted to get it in because it is a new movie out for 2024. It's not a Hallmark movie, but it does star Lacey Chabert in Christmassy attire and Christmassy festivities. And it was just appropriate for us to cover it this year on the show. So without further ado, introducing Hot Frosty to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. which was a Netflix movie.
John Carpenter's.
Yeah. No,
Hey.
it is a John, but it's not John. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not even a John. It's a Jerry Sicaridi. Some Italian. So there you go. Get an Italian in there. Nope, sorry, he's Canadian. Never mind. Italian sounding name, but he's Canadian. No, but yeah, this is a
Netflix. I was saying, sorry. Netflix presents.
That's right. This is a Netflix movie. Netflix has in recent times been getting into the Hallmark. They've been trying to really jump into the Hallmark movie making industry by basically churning out what would be considered a Hallmark Christmas movie by any means, but they're manufactured for Netflix instead. So, like Hallmark, like Lifetime, I think even a couple of other places now have been making these types of movies. You've got Candace Cameron Bure, or whatever her name is, from Full House. She's also got her own channel of like America only straight white people Christmas movies. Everybody's making these types of things now. Netflix kind of brings a little bit different though, because Hallmark is very waspy in the way that it presents a lot of its movies.
I was gonna say soap opera. Like
sure,
single camera.
Yeah,
low rent.
They got one guy with a camera, and they're like, "There you go, you guys make do." And they send out crews to various locales. Like, you're going to Rome, you're going to Hawaii, you're going to Lake Tahoe, and that's what they do. And they've made a whole industry out of it, probably shooting all year round to make these Christmas movies, so that they can every year Hallmark can come and say, like, this year you thought we overdid it with 30 last year. We've got 40 new Christmas movies coming. And so Netflix has been doing that too. And I think they've got a couple, like they definitely are not up to speed with how Hallmark has been producing and churning these things out like the Amish with butter, just whipping it out. But they do have a couple coming out, and one of them is with Lacey Chabert, Hot Frosty, and then there's another one with Lindsay Lohan. She did a Netflix holiday special last year too, I believe. So they're making it an annual tradition. And not only that, Hallmark, I believe, I think one of the CEOs or whatever who's been the production crew of those holiday movies has been on record of saying that Lacey Chabert is just getting a little bit too old for their holiday movies now.
Ridiculous.
So she had to move on over to Netflix. Netflix said, "You know what, Lacey? Come on over. You're not too old in our book. You're like, what, like 40 something? Like, get on over here."
42.
We've got Grace and Frankie over here. Like, old people watch us all the time. We don't care how old you are.
You ever see, not a big fan of her comedy, but you ever see the Amy Schumer show?
Yeah, on and off. Not like a whole lot, but
you ever see the skit with like her and Tina Fey and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's like, what are you, and like, I can't remember someone else, like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, we're old. And it's like, you're joining the old lady club now. And she's like, I'm like 33. And it's like,
no, I haven't seen it, but yeah, I mean, that's basically what it sounds like.
Like, yeah, like I'm like, I'm too old, I'm not sexy anymore. I gotta be like, grandmother. And it's like, Tina, you're 45. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I think that's that's basically what they're saying to Lacey. And Lacey says, you know what? I'm going to go over to Netflix and I'll show you how sexy I am with a Hot Frosty.
Took her whole wardrobe, basically, though.
Yeah, yeah. The whole wardrobe, the jacket, the sweaters, the lower cut cleavage dresses. It's all here in Hot Frosty. You would think that this is a Hallmark movie by any other means. But like I said before, this is a little bit spruced up. It doesn't have sort of like the scared Catholic undertones of like, let's not get too sexy over here. Like we can have romance, we can have smooching, but it doesn't go, the level of sexuality does not go higher than smooching. There will be no placing your hands on hips. There will be no, shirtless men. It will be PG rated. And Netflix said, you know what? We can trump that a little bit. We can go a little bit higher than that. This isn't going to be, Jack Frost levels of Shannon Elizabeth in the shower, but it's going to be, a little bit more sexy than Hallmark can provide. So that's kind of how I feel about Netflix's brand. They're like, let's trump it just a little bit. Let's give it a little bit more of like this, a little bit more risque while still remaining like a family friendly movie. So that's what we get right now with Hot Frosty. They really missed out on a chance to partner with Wendy's for a really decidedly disgusting sounding.
Get a hot frosty.
Come get a hot frosty. What is that? Well, it's a frosty that we melted.
That or it sounds like made up like disgusting like Urban Dictionary like sex thing. Like, give him the old hot Carl, the Cleveland steamer.
That is true. It does. It does nice sound like the
nice hot frosty. Oh yeah, nice.
It honestly sounds like you're taking a shit on somebody because you just think about like a chocolate frosty. It's hot and steamy.
It's like, oh yeah, they gave him the old hot frost.
Yeah, it's an entendre for a shit.
Take a dump on someone's chest.
That's right. Well, with that pleasant note, let's take a break from talking about the movie.
We do need to do one day Lacey Chabert's finest role, Christian Mingle, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to do that when we're doing like the God is Not Dead, like tetology.
Yeah. Cover all of those
God is not
dead. Really gospel-y.
If it's got like a 30-minute Christian rock concert at the end and Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, I was gonna say if late stage Kevin Sorbo is in it, it's going on the list. Don't give me an opportunity to bring up people like Kevin Sorbo or our favorite person.
God, there's 5 of them now.
Is there really? You were right on when you said like tetralogy. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the beer that we have on the show today. I went out and I got myself a nice little advent calendar of mystery beers from a mystery pack. And while I was there, I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do my shopping now for the beers that we'll need for the show? So I picked out a couple of beers that were decidedly Christmassy or festive, for Festivus. And the one that we decided on doing today is a Hardy Boy, almost 10%, 9.2%. And it's Hardywood's Gingerbread Stout, which from seeing people talk about this, seeing it on Untapped, seems like a pretty popular beer for the holidays. Not one that I've really seen around, but apparently other people have been getting this routinely.
Where'd you get it at? Did you get it
I got this at Southside.
Okay.
And because like even when you look at the can, it says the original Gingerbread Stout, as though like they originated this type of beer. I can't say that I've had it before. I've had other gingerbread stouts before. One that really stands out to both of us from our nostalgic past is the Merry Mischief that Sam Adams used to make when they were doing their sort of prestige line of beers, that I guess you would call it, where they were coming out with like these, what was it, like 64-ounce bottles?
32 ounce.
32-ounce bottles of like specialty brand beer that they would release like pretty consistently, which was a fun time for Sam Adams. Like, where's that ingenuity that they used to have? Like, they did
it for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
When they were pumping them out, and they were seasonal because there's like a kind of a rotation to them because they had the Tasman Red IPA, the Baltic Porter.
They had like a pumpkin.
The double pumpkin.
Double pumpkin. Yeah. It's always a cool time.
The gingerbread stout, the Merry Mischief. Bottles were real cool, and the artwork was real good. But you're right. Where is that? Like I said, if we go to one of our local stores, I guarantee we can dig up some of them with some dust on them and like.
Yeah, and a Merry Mischief too. They basically changed the name of it after a little while to Merry Maker for whatever reason. I don't know why. So you might know it under that name as well. It used to be called either Merry Mischief or Merry Maker, depending on when you got it. Because I think like you said, it was around for 2 years. I think they made it the first time it was Merry Mischief. The second time it became Merry Maker. But it was also a gingerbread stout, and probably the first time that I had ever had a gingerbread stout. It was actually quite good too. I'm not a big fan of gingerbread. I know that's probably blasphemous to say, especially around the Christmas holiday season. I don't.
I love gingerbread.
Yeah, I don't really love it that much. Like, I'm not a huge fan of spicy flavors that much. As you'll probably notice on some of the episodes where we did like the old ale, where it's like
that's not spicy. That's just fucking
more like raisiny
prune juice.
But I'm not a huge fan of that type of flavor, but I do enjoy a nice gingerbread stout for whatever reason. I think it pairs well in beer. So yeah, this Hardywood I think is a really solid gingerbread stout. You get a nice amount of ginger and cinnamon to it. There is that presence of the sweeter honey. The stout quality of it comes out really nicely as well, because you still get that kind of like those notes of like malty, chocolatey element to it there. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. Very pleasant to drink. And at 9%, I'm really not tasting the alcohol content there at all. It's just, very, very pleasant sipper. Really solid. I would definitely recommend this. I think they've done a really good job managing the gingerbread flavor while also presenting it in a stout style that will appeal to people who really like stouts, especially around the winter season. So I'm impressed with this. I definitely would get this one again. How about you?
I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of like gingerbread stouts. As I take a sip, especially during this time of year, fits perfectly. It's definitely pretty easy drinking. The gingerbread's very present, got a nice graham crackery taste to it too. Little bit of that like vanilla and honey sweetness at the back end to even it out. Unlike you, I will say I definitely get alcohol heat on there. With how cold and snow that we've been getting in upstate New York. Not going to complain about it because it gives me a nice little warm feeling inside, to go with it. But with it having that gasoline heat to the end, it's not bad. It kind of does round out the beer pretty well, especially at 9.2%. It's pretty easy going, easy drinking. Has, slight notes of caramel too. I like it a lot. This is a very good gingerbread stout in general. And I think if it's available in your area and you live in a, colder climate, this is a perfect beer to drink at the end of the day. There's like a nice dessert stout to keep you warm and going on these holiday times. I mean, it's been over like a decade. So,
yeah.
Well, though, I in my head, but again, like as we just recently did, like a couple weeks ago with the Saranac White IPA, the memory might be sweeter than what the beer actually is. Because if Sam's were to produce something now, I would have no faith that they would execute it well.
Yeah.
Or Jim Cook's locked up somewhere in a fucking like bank vault counting money. And they're like, hey, my beer's still good. And they're like, hey, shut up, Jim. We got Truly seltzers and stuff out here. Don't worry about it. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really good, though. Like you said, I can't really remember, a decade ago, but I would say that it is pretty darn close. And it does a really good job of that gingerbread style. I think, for a holiday beer, definitely something to check out. It's nice, little dessert style beer, too. All right. So let's get into Hot Frosty. Where to begin? I think maybe let's start out by talking about, the overall conceit of this movie, or the lack thereof of one. This movie is basically a rendition of, the actual Frosty the Snowman, right? How up to date are you on your Frosty?
What do you mean?
Do you recall? Do you routinely watch the Frosty TV special every year? Is that something that you
like the Frosty the Snowman?
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
Okay then.
But I do, remember.
Because I think, the idea of is basically, let's take Frosty the Snowman, the actual like TV special, right, from 1969, and let's jazz it up a little bit, and make it like kind of a romance, and
make it sexy.
Yeah, make it sexy, because it kind of follows the same idea of the original Frosty the Snowman, of snowman comes to life. There's someone who wants to basically get rid of that snowman because they shouldn't exist, and it's up to people to stop them from, basically vanquishing Frosty, this magical snowman that is like the embodiment of Christmas spirit because he's just so magical. And so the idea is very similar to the original Frosty, except that again, it sexifies it, gives it a romance to it, and actually it also tries to make it a lot more comic than your usual Hallmark movie. Like, because Hallmark movies, they generally do tend to have a sort of like very lighthearted comedy element to it, but I feel like Hot Frosty goes a little bit even further than that to really like emphasize the comedy, because it not just the writing itself, but it also employs a number of comedians in the movie to sort of be that to lean on for that like comic relief element that they provide. So
I will say too, also, the thing I remember most about Frosty the Snowman is the Fairly Odd Parents Channel Surfers parody of it.
Mm-hmm.
Of like when they're stuck in Frosty the Snowman, they put the hat on to Frosty and he's like, "Hey, I'm alive! Happy birthday!" And then he gets run down by the sled with Timmy and Alec Baldwin. It's great.
I think there's also like a Family Guy skit where they put the hat on and he like catches on fire or something, and then he's like, take it off. So, yeah. I originally thought that the person in the original Frosty was also named Kathy, as Lacey Chabert's character is in this movie, but that's not true. Her name was Karen in the original Frosty the Snowman. So, missed opportunity from the writers of Hot Frosty, writer Russell Heinlein, to really hit home on the Frosty, the
snowman.
Exactly. Her name should not have been Kathy. It should have been Karen, okay? But anyway,
Karen has such negative connotations.
That is true. Maybe they didn't. I mean, Kathy's not much better for a 40-something-year-old woman. I don't know.
Whoa! What do you gotta do? What are you saying?
How about Katie?
Yeah, been played. Katie's Cafe doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Karen's Cafe, no one's going there.
It's true. Well, Kathy's Cafe has a nice throwback diner style to it.
It's not. Yeah, that's also the thing that kind of annoys me. Cafe. It's not even a fucking cafe. It's a diner.
It's a throwback diner. It's like a 60s drive-in hop inspired cafe
in the made-up town of Hope Springs, New York. Where in New York, as us being, proud.
They should have said it in Hopewell Junction, where Sloop is located. Like, oh yes, in our Sloop factory right over here.
Or Saratoga Springs,
That's right, yeah.
Or,
well, not only that, but this community itself of Hope Springs, where it's set, is it's a Christmas capital. Like every area on Main Street is festooned with Christmas decorations. You cannot walk through the main square without seeing everywhere Christmas decorations. You know what? Christmas time is the perfect time to throw out the word festooned. Okay, so it's one of the only times you can throw out festooned. Try using it in another situation. It probably won't work out as well for you.
We gotta. I just thought of a new gimmick because your vocab use has been quite on point this episode. We kind of need like a Ryan vocab, SAT vocab tracker, like a nice little ding sound you hear anytime you bandy a word on that.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, this and not only that though, let's talk about, because right at the beginning of the movie, we're treated to we're getting to know Hope Springs. And Lacey Chabert, obviously, she has this Kathy's Cafe, and she runs this cafe. And the one main thing that's happening in the town is that they have like all these snowmen sculptors and ice sculptors roaming around.
There's 3 of them. They have the great Hope Springs, and it says on the sign like home of the Christmas snowman building competition.
Yeah,
there's like fucking 3 of them.
Normally, though, in a regular town like in every man's town, New York, you'd have one person who's like really into snowman building, and it's like, wow, that's a really good snowman. Then you'd have 2 other people who are like, yeah, your snowman's okay, right? Like it's like, yeah, you did a good job as a snowman, but it's not like anything. The pizzazz isn't there, right? No. In this town, they have 3 expert professional sculptors who are out there with their chisels and and their little
chainsaws.
Yeah.
And not only that, it wouldn't even be on like the main boulevard or arterial. It'd be like tucked away at like your local highway department.
Yeah.
Oh, where are we where's the tree lighting and the snowman contest gonna be? It's gonna be at the fucking volunteer firefighter department like it
That's
is every
right.
year, Sasha.
It's just funny because I love these movies where they have like, wow, look at the display of art that just comes out of these little small towns where they have like 40 people in town. Because at the end of this movie, too, they get the whole town together and they're like, what's going on here? It's like, the whole town is after you. And it's like 30 people. The whole town is 30 people, and you've been able to employ 3 professional ice sculptors here? Like, you know how much they're probably charging you to, like, make these nice sculptures of snowmen? And one of them, for whatever reason, decides, you know what I'm going to carve? I'm going to carve this absolutely chiseled, super muscular snowman.
Veins everywhere. Just
popping veins. A heroin addict's dream of just like, where are you going to shoot? I don't know. There's just so many good veins around. I don't know. Which one? Blowout one? You got 18 more. You're good. So it's like, it's just funny. I always love these movies where they like.
I want to know who. Like, do you think it was one of the horny old ladies that was sitting there? Like,
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that one woman who, after Frosty comes to life, Jack Snowman comes to life, and she's like, they're like, "What's going on over there?" She's like, "I don't know, but we better go investigate." I don't know. It looks like there's a nude man over there. It's a little bit steamy, but yeah, the Lacey Chabert, She is basically your Lacey character, right? She has a nice profession. We've seen Lacey in like a chef's role before. And she has been struggling because her husband died of cancer, as we'll find out. It's like a little
the mysterious wonder killer cancer.
Yeah, like not
happened quick.
Yeah, no real explanation of it because again, these movies aren't really about letting the real world creep in. So
you know what's great about that though is like the whole like my husband, he died of cancer, and luckily it was quick. So you know what that means? Like at like 35, the man never went to a doctor.
Probably.
Like after,
bam, he was feeling bad. You went to the doctor, found out it was cancer. It was too late. Stage 4, gone. We could all be so lucky as to just like find out and be dead in like 3 days, But yeah, like I said, these movies, they're not really about letting reality creep in. They're about escaping reality. And so again and again, you'll see in Hot Frosty, like the community is just so open and bubbly. Like there's there's obviously no like real issues at play in this community whatsoever.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone understands the premise of it's Christmas. Who cares?
The magic of Christmas.
My store window got smashed in and someone stole a pair of coveralls and galoshes.
Well, you know what?
Who in New York says galoshes? We're not New Englanders. Nobody says that. Maybe from the southern tier, maybe, but
They're like, you know what? They probably needed them. So we'll let it go. But the other thing I would like to see is like this community when it's not Christmas. They're like, yeah, no, it's not fucking Christmas anymore. So you can't steal my goddamn galoshes. Like, okay, at Christmas time, it's one thing. Like, all is forgiven at that time. You get a pass. When it's not Christmas, I need my galoshes back.
Hey, it's Boxing Day.
That's right.
Get that shit back over here.
So Lacey Chabert's husband died of cancer. She's not fixing up her house because he was a fixer-upper. He was the guy who did all the construction around the house.
How do you like the nice Groundhog's Day, like opening the couple of times?
Where the same, get up, go to work, get ready for work, put on your parka because you're in the house and the heat's not working. Yeah, the buckets, like that's quite a drippy leak too, by the way, to fill up that bucket that much. Like I was a little bit astounded, and having
there's black mold there.
Exactly. Having had leaks myself, I was having internal anxiety watching that leak occur and having her just be like, I'll just dump the bucket.
You look up and it should be like a giant black spot.
Exactly. Yeah. I was verklempt there as, seeing how much that was leaking. There's a problem there, and you're going to have more problems if you don't take care of that post haste. So, but, Lacey, she's going through all these issues. She visits.
I find it really hard to believe too, in a town this small and with Lacey being Lacey. No one's coming over to fix her step.
Right. No one's volunteered.
No one's like willing to, like, she's that heartbroken. There's not, I imagine, like, in a town like that, Lacey Chabert's, 10 out of 10.
She stands out.
Yeah.
She's got suitors.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
People going, lining up the Ace Hardware, Home Depot in town, like True Value to go, like,
Well,
like, I'll patch your pipes, Lacey.
In a town of 40, though, maybe most of them are cousins. Who knows? Close relatives.
Can't realistically be a town of 40 with that boulevard and arterial being,
I know,
like a skyscraper, for God's sakes,
But Lacey, she goes to visit Mel and Theo, who own like a thrifty store there, and they gift her a nice scarf, nice cable knit scarf that they were like, Mel was like, yeah, this helped me find Theo. Like, I found the love of my life wearing this scarf.
No, she said, I found Dick that night.
It got me Dick, and then you know what? Things worked out from there. But the main thing was the Dick, right? And then what does Lacey do? She goes to the town square and says, you know what? Fuck this scarf. I'm gonna put it on a fucking snowman because I don't want this scarf. Thanks for them giving it to me, but I'm gonna give it to this snowman because I don't want the scarf. So now, that's kind of a bitchy thing to do, in my opinion.
My other question is, too, how long has her ex-husband been dead? I mean, her husband been dead for?
Seems like a while.
Like, how long?
Possibly, though, that's what's dripping from the attic, so.
I'm saying, that's Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you think about it, too, like, because a lot of these movies, it's like, as we are seeing in some of these John Saxon movies for Saxon Sound, and check it out, by the way, like, oh, your husband's dead 2 weeks later. Like, I'm already...
Like, we're moving on.
Being, already getting, butt plugged and, married, So, like, how long has she been in bereavement for? Because personally, I think, like, if, it should never end.
Bereavement should never end? You don't move on?
No, your spouse dies, it should be a Viking funeral. You get thrown with them.
That was the love of your life. You don't get to move on.
Yeah, you don't get to move on. That's, a little greedy.
Not when the first hot snowman comes along. That's for sure. You don't get to just fall for any hot chiseled snowman that walks into your life. That seems a little rude. But yeah, the scarf is literally imbued with magic, and it makes Jack Snowman come to life. And he happens to be that really hot, long-haired, chiseled, beefy, brawny man that she was interested in the town square.
Do you think they put an icicle or a carrot on it for his cock?
I don't know. It depends on what's larger.
You know what's great, too, is like he's running around the town in the middle of the night naked, and it's the one couple, Mortimer and his wife. And she's like, oh my, and then later on, they're like, when they were drawing, like, they didn't ask so-and-so for, like, describe the picture. It's like, well, she wasn't describing his face.
Right, yeah, we need a description of the face.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good joke. And that's the thing about this movie. It does occasionally have the good joke. And that's probably due to a couple, like I said, a couple people here, a couple comedians, Joe Lo Truglio being one of them, who's really putting in a workman-like performance in this movie. Like, a Hallmark movie needs someone like Joe Lo Truglio to come in and just kind of be that comic relief who can provide sort of like a, I don't know, like a, jokester.
Yeah. Nice workman, bounce off so it's not so super serious.
Exactly. Yep.
Not Mariah Carey with her,
diva acting.
No. Fish-eyed lens and everything.
So let's talk about Jack Snowman.
Well, you forgot too, Craig Robinson.
Well, I didn't mention Craig Robinson. As I was saying to you, it's nice that they were able to, track him down and take him from Pizza Hut's basement, where they've been storing him, as he's been doing all of the spokesperson stuff for Pizza Hut of late. Piano and all, by the way. He's here as the sheriff in this town, and again, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say again, though, the movie does make note that like this town has no problems, right? Like no murders, no even like the biggest thing that they have to, the biggest thing they have to deal with is like somebody parked in the handicapped spot one time in a no loading zone, and they had to issue a ticket, and it was like that was a big deal. That's what the sheriff does, and it's like, why even bother electing a sheriff then?
Let's say here's my problem. One, I will say, I do love, as you were saying, with Joe Lo Truglio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's where I know him from. It's Boyle and Craig Robinson. Those two alone are the things that make this movie so much more enjoyable than a Hallmark affair, because it makes it feel like this is a movie. There's some character here. There's some wit. There's some glue here instead of it just being a coffee walk and talk. Two, one thing, there's a couple of things that happen in these movies, and we can go into it real quick. A couple of things that happen in these types of like holiday movies that always get me full of bluster and anger. Not like in like a great deal of anger, but a deal of like, God fucking like annoyance. One is sheriffs. You don't serve a town, you serve a county. It's not your town, it's your county. Why every time like if the police officer is a sheriff, they're always like worried about the town. You serve a county.
Go worry about the other two towns that you have under your belt. That's like, oh no, there's like murderers running amok over there, and you're like, you're concerned over here about a window being broken. I think you got bigger problems.
So that's one of them. Even though they do say at the end, like, they do mention that he's like an elected in their constituents. I'm like, wow, that's like rare. Like, no one ever really thinks like, hey, you vote for your sheriff. Two, I hate this movie also has horrible fake snow in it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And we talked about it before when it comes to these like kind of Christmassy movies.
Yeah.
The snow in this is fucking god awful, dreadful. It looks like powdered sugar and like Christmas stuffing. Doesn't look natural. And the times too, especially when they're like walking and it's kind of snowing, but the sunlight's out too. It's like that. It just looks stupid.
It is funny that some of these movies don't even employ like an actual snow machine. They like, because you can see in the at the end credits when they have the bloopers that there you have like a machine that's making like this really fake snow, this like powdery shit that they've got. And the Santa Claus is definitely one of those movies that I would point out as being a big problem with this fake snow too, that you can see like from movies of old. But it's just funny that like they don't even try to employ like some real fake snow, like, because ski mountains, they make snow too, but it's real snow. It's like they made it. It's still snow-like material.
If you're paying millions of dollars to make these films, for the love of God, at least make the snow like believable. If you're going into this whole holiday season, because it just looks trite and stupid.
Yeah.
And the third one is, I hate in these movies where everyone has some fucking vintage classic car. She drives like a 1982 like Toyota Corolla in whether it be upstate New York, the Catskills, the southern tier, central or western New York, and that thing looks mint.
Right.
The fact that it hasn't been rusted out, being in the rust and salt belt, that like just grinds my gears. It's like, where did she find that Corolla? Did she like have it like imported from like Albuquerque recently? There's no reason for that thing to look brand new.
Exactly.
You're just trying to show that like,
it's trying
she's down on her luck. She's a go-getter. No.
It's trying to have like a timeless quality to it, I feel like a classic Christmas, but at the same time, like set in modern era.
He's like driving like a Bel Air from like 58.
Yeah.
That's like, looks like it's straight from Havana. Like, just like, hey, we're still,
That is an annoyance. Like it because again, like there is a timelessness to these. Like there's not really phones in this movie. Like no one whips out their cell phone.
Well, hold on. Craig Robinson does.
Yeah,
it's
he
a
does.
fucking flip phone.
Yep.
From like 2002.
There's like
it's like the equivalent of him having like one of those Nextel walkie-talkie phones, like
even like the TVs are sort of like they're not like tube TVs, but they are not like 70-inch LED screens or anything like that. So there is like a timeless element to what I think they do that on purpose.
Was this movie made actually during the Obama years? It's just coming out.
Yeah,
now.
right. I think they do it on purpose to like people are nostalgic. There's whole like Facebook groups of like old time Christmas and stuff like that. It's possible that they just are trying to adhere to, various generations of people who remember Christmas. I don't hate it or dislike it, but you pointing it out definitely does infusing these like weird classic cars into these movies for some reason. Like the budget alone to just like try to get some of these cars. It's like spend it on the real snow, man. Stop chintzing on the snow and get some good snow here. So yeah, Dustin Milligan plays the Jack Snowman, who some people might I know him best from Schitt's Creek, which here he's like almost unrecognizable from Schitt's Creek. He's got like, the long hair, very jacked. Like we said, like veins popping everywhere. He's a very ripped man in this movie, and it kind of makes him unrecognizable, especially with the long hair. Sort of like, it's sort of like Fabio come to life for, like the dream sequence that she is living in. How do you feel about Dustin Milligan? What do you think about his performance? He's almost like a sort of like a Will Ferrell and Elf, sort of like fish out of water type character in this movie. Like sort of like Frosty doesn't know how to interact with people, but at the same time he can just like watch TV and learn how to do stuff.
Yeah, is that some kind of commentary? watch TV, kids. You'll learn how to become a master carpenter in no time.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, he's like ripped his shit. And it's a little disconcerting how fucking,
yeah, I agree.
Like how jacked he is.
Is a good term for that.
Like how like jacked he is, and like it's like, what has he been living on? Like celery, water.
I would believe, to be honest with you, that he just eats ice chips. Like that doesn't seem out of the ordinary for a person like that. Like in this movie, because he's Jack Snowman, all he does is like sit around in the cold and like eat ice chips and stuff. And to maintain that physique, I definitely wouldn't disagree that eating ice chips is probably the way to go there.
And it's not like he's known for being ripped to shit like that too. So I mean, that means like they had him, Yeah,
I mean, he's always been in good shape, but I don't feel like he was always like this bulked. I don't know.
He's just a brick shit house.
I know. Just fucking ripped. And he spent ice chips and creatine. That's all he's been living on for the last few years.
But I think he's pretty fun. I think he is good. He's, as you said, fish out of water. He kind of goes 0 to 60 in his understanding.
Right, yeah.
Kind of goes, goes a lot to say what the movie thinks of TV, just because it goes from being like, I don't know what anything is, I'm a fucking idiot, to like, I've made you this lovely pizza and we're going to have like, Lady in the Tramp like moment.
Yeah. How do you feel about the whole idea that the main conceit of this movie is just like he accidentally broke into one of the shops, the thrift store shop, and broke their window, and that's like the main plot of this movie is like just avoiding Craig Robinson's sheriff character because he broke a window, like,
which is dumb because obviously the store owners don't want to press charges,
right? And they consistently say, you know what? Why don't we just not focus on that? Like, the window's replaced. We're good.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, but and then the streaking thing, like,
I would say, like, that's the one thing that really bothers me about Hot Frosty is that it really doesn't have, like, an arc, besides the romance, of course, because that's always, like, one of the main things of a Hallmark movie or a movie like this, is that romance between the two main characters. But in a romance, you also most of the time have an overarching like storyline that goes along with that romance. So like in Hallmark movies, there's always sort of like a deadline of like, this needs to get done by Christmas. We're having this Christmas pageant and I need to get it done before Christmas comes. And there's this, if we don't get it done, there's going to be hell to pay. Or like there's a bake-off and we need to perfect our recipe by the bake-off. There's always a secondary mission statement that the movies are going by. Hot Frosty feels like it doesn't really have one. And I feel like that's the main problem that I have with the movie is that there's not really a driving force to get you from like, all right, here's Frosty to the end of the movie where, yes, they're going to be in love. Like, that's a given. There's not really anything in between that like cements it in place where you're like, I'm focused on this other storyline. Thoughts? I know you like this one a bit more than I did. I'm not saying I didn't like not enjoy it, but that was my one main takeaway or issue from this movie is that it just doesn't seem to have like an overall plot to it.
The overall plot is the fact that Frosty the Snowman comes to life and warms the heart of Lacey, and she remembers what love is.
Yeah,
that's you don't need, there's a strudel deadline, or like, what the hell, Franco Nero's here to show me the spirit of Christmas, and like, with the romance itself is like entertaining enough because the chemistry that they have, and Dustin Milligan's just being fish out of water and the things he gets into, and like, I think that's enough. I think that's enough to carry the day. And then the B plot is the cops looking after them, and while not a great B plot, what makes that plot, as we said earlier, interesting is the fact that Craig Robinson and Joe Trujillo they're delightfully funny and like charismatic and cute and charming.
Yeah.
And I think the film is just that. It's pretty charming overall. I think everyone, it's pretty fun and charming throughout the entire film. There's a lot of little great jokes throughout the movie, what the hell, the whole, like, as we said, like the whole, like, couldn't describe the streaker because she was talking about the man's penis,
Right.
That's funny. The whole scene where he's up on the roof and, building, like, fixing, her roof for her because it's in shambles, and the old lady drives her fucking, 1958 Bel Air into a snowbank, and she's got to, get it pushed out, and he's like, oh yeah, push it. She's like, oh yeah, that's good, yeah, push it out,
Yeah, like I said, that's probably the most risque part of this. That wouldn't fly in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, no, not at all.
That's for sure.
It's just great. Also, too, like the whole dance thing, I sent it to you on Snapchat and a couple of people, but when they're slow dancing and they get really close together, that's not appropriate. Can't do that at a school dance. Gotta be arm's length apart.
That's right, a little too close. Yeah, I like that though. What do you think about him being able to infiltrate school like that an unknown man, stranger in the town. People are thinking about him as possibly being the streaker and or the person who had broken into the store. Can't be vetted. No background or criminal record at all that they can verify. And yet the school just invites him in like, yeah, come on in with these preteen kids. This random man. It's a little bit weird.
Listen, somebody needs to be doing the maintenance work around, the middle school, and he's willing to do it.
Apparently, they're desperate. They're like, you know what? You can help with the dance? Okay. I don't care what your past is like. I don't care you're being investigated by the police. Come on in. Yeah. It was just something that stood out to me. I thought it was a little bit funny.
It is funny.
How about the fact that, basically anytime Frosty gets into a hot environment, he starts to melt. It's a nice little touch that I kind of like throughout. He can live at her house because she doesn't have the heat on. But anytime he goes into a hot environment like the dance, he starts to melt and sort of, rub off on people because he's literally melting away. It's a nice little Frosty reference that I felt worked pretty well in this movie. And they handle it pretty well too.
Let's say the nice ice eating contest he has with Craig Robinson.
Yep.
When he's like, why are you eating ice at this diner? And he's like, I just like the ice. To eat the ice. And, they're just see who can shove the most ice into their mouth,
Well, how about too, after Jack gets arrested by Craig Robinson's character, the whole town bands together to pay off his bail. And that sounds a lot like socialism to me. Is this a socialist town?
Maybe. Takes the heart of everybody to save them. And the fun thing is too, this is the one thing I don't like, because again, this is the one thing, because I'm a Grinch, that I don't like. I don't like this whole idea of these films just being like, you guys all think he's actually a snowman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? It's Christmas.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, this is a town where half the people probably don't think that COVID masks work. And yet they're gonna readily believe that this snowman came to life and now he's in love with a woman that lives there. Come on. There's more than a 10% chance that some of these people don't think vaccines work. They're gonna believe a snowman came to life. Come on. It's just, again, it's that reality doesn't creep into these movies. It's just such a nice, there's barely any conflict. It's just a nice place to live and nice to think about that there could be a place where there's just no anxiety whatsoever. It's just no one is concerned. The biggest concern is did I get enough presents? Do I have enough shopping days until Christmas? It's great. All right, so we haven't talked about Lacey that much. How do you think she does in this movie?
Wonderful.
Is that just bias, or do you actually think that?
It's both.
I think Lacey's Lacey here.
She's pretty straight. She doesn't, she's just doing her best.
There's not really anything here that really stands out. She's got all the pretty, all the marks, right? She's got the looks. She's got the personality.
You want to talk about middle class, waspy looks. Her outfits are full of,
Yeah.
I go to Target and...
Yeah. And then the one time she pulls out that dress, that, red lacy affair, that, again, though, the practicality of being in New York.
How could you not love that?
But the practicality is what I don't love. A backless strap dress that, you're in New York and that Frosty needs to spend time outside or else he melts. And you're going to wear that without even a sweater? That's brave. That's you're not even.
How'd you like the whole he's rubbing her to try to keep her warm, her shoulders, and he's like, how's that? And she's like, well, it'd work if you weren't, freezing cold, because he's a snowman. And he's like, oh, do you want me to stop? And she's like, I didn't say that.
I mean, it just makes you wonder about the logistics. Obviously, of course, he literally comes to life at the end. But like, if they had been forced to, and we obviously wouldn't see this in a Netflix style movie, what would they need to do for sex? Would they need like an icy hot condom? Because he brings the icy, and then there's like the cinnamon hot, so it offsets each other. How are we gonna do that? What kind? You're gonna be frozen constantly. It's a mystery. We'll never know. We need a movie to plumb the depths of what would happen in that scenario.
But I think like I said, I do think she's good. I mean, she's just plays a straight, waspy character of like, yeah, my husband had the cancer, and the
cancer. That is pretty much how they refer to it, as like the cancer.
And I just don't know how to go on.
Yeah,
and.
It's a more enjoyable movie than it might seem like.
I think the film excels in the fact that because it's not a Hallmark movie, it's a Netflix movie, so it feels like an actual film. This feels like a movie that could almost make it to the box office.
Sure, I agree with that.
It definitely, does have that like straight to video feel to it, but it also is well made.
Yep. It feels like it has some art to the cinematography.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's, a presentation and an overall feel to it that makes it, I think, stand out compared to the rest of the Hallmark films we did of hers. Because again, it feels like this isn't actually a movie, not just something that's made for TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that any like low budget, nonsense feel to it. And again, a lot of those Hallmark movies that we did, though they weren't bad, they all fall into the same tropes of like, I'm independent, strong woman, who doesn't need a man. I find man not really that appeal to man. We walk with coffee walk, friendship, walk, coffee. Oh wait, there's something going on that needs to be done, as you said, by this deadline. And then I find love, coffee walk, love. The end.
Yeah. This doesn't follow that formula too much. It actually starts out with love and ends with love. Really. Yeah, I agree. There's some charming elements to it. It's definitely not as bad of a movie as you would expect for a sort of like a Hallmark-esque type movie. So I will give it that. I will give it its charms. I do still have that problem with it having like a lack of plot, but I see your point that it's all about the romance. It's all about Lacey coming out of her shell from from her husband with that cancer.
The cancer.
Exactly. Part of the problem with him having cancer probably is that this town doesn't have a hospital. So they just basically went to that doctor and she's like, I'm not an oncologist. You're out of luck. All right. Game over. But
maybe they didn't even get that far. It was just, he was dead, and that's what they found. Like, oh yeah, he's got a giant tumor on, his liver.
Yeah, the good and bad of living in a small town. All right, so I guess we gotta rate Hot Frosty.
Hot Frosty.
So, on a scale of 0 to 10, hot chiseled abs spread with butter. With possibly a Wendy's Hot Frosty on it. The terminology. What would you give Hot Frosty?
You know what? I'll be very charitable here. 6.5 out of 10. I like it a lot. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought is it like a film filled with substance? Absolutely not. But I do think in the niche of these holiday romances, it's pretty charming, and I do think it's hits all the right marks. It doesn't stay too long. I was pretty engaged throughout the entire time I was watching the movie. I wasn't checking my watch. It's only a nice svelte 92 minutes. I think it's just a lot of fun. It has some nice little quippy jokes, nice little plot. It's not the most, and it's shallow, but I think it's a good shallow because it doesn't try to be too much. I think the cast is what kind of carries it. I think, again, Lacey Chabert does a pretty good job being the straight woman, down on her luck. Dustin Milligan doing a nice, elf, Will Ferrell elf, type role. I think works really well. I think, again, Craig Robinson, Joe Lotrillo, as the cops. A lot of fun. They don't get like a lot to do, but I think it's, their presence alone and kind of B-plot is something that kind of makes the film feel like a film. Doesn't feel like a low-rent, TV movie or a Hallmark movie. It feels like a film. And I think that's kind of what I was surprised most by watching it. And I liked it quite a bit. I'd 6.5 out of 10. I'd say give it a shot. There's, a dearth of crappy holiday films. I don't think this is one. Will it be in the stable of things to watch from time immemorial? No, but I think the one or two times you might pop it on, you'll get enough fun out of it. 6.5.
Yeah, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I think that it's fairly fun for what it does. It's definitely better than a Hallmark movie. It definitely has some flair to it, some charm that I feel like is missing from some of the Hallmark movies, which are, oftentimes just feel like they're churned out. This one does definitely feel like it has something going for it. It's made with, I guess, quote unquote, love. It certainly has the Christmas spirit to it. And I think that overall, everybody seems to be enjoying what they're doing here. Everybody's bringing like a little bit of their own little recipe to it. Lacey brings like the obvious Hallmark elements. Joe Lotrillo and Craig Robinson, they bring more of the comedy that you don't normally get from a Hallmark movie. It has a nice mix, and I do think that this is something that makes it stand out from the rest of the Hallmark movies of this style. So I think it's a nice little charming watch. You could throw it on and not really pay too much attention to it and still get the most out of it. You can have it on when you're decorating the tree or something like that, and you still will know what's going on. You don't need to like pay close attention to what's happening. I think all of that really lends itself to being like a nice holiday movie for the family. You can either sit down and watch or just have on in the background. And, very pleasant, very, charming. Overall, a solid Christmas watch, despite the fact that I think that it doesn't have that much in terms of a plot. It's kind of missing some of those elements. It still makes up for that in a nice bit of comedy and, an overall play on like the holiday cheer. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'm not going to run out and watch it every year or anything like that. It's not going to be a Christmas classic, but it's certainly a good movie for what it sets out to do. So, all right. So first episode of Festivus 2024 down. I think we're coming back again next week. We'll have another Christmas movie in store for you. So we hadn't really planned out too many of our actual Christmas movies, but I think we have a good idea of what we kind of want to do. So a little bit of little different things for this season. And again, I don't really have a theme this year. It's just like Christmas movies. Next year it'll be like Hanukkah movies. Do like Hanukkah 2025.
Been waiting to do the Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah. Or 8 Crazy Nights.
You don't want.
Haven't seen that one in a while. Probably the last time I saw it was in theaters, to be honest with you.
Really? You saw that in theaters?
Saw it in theaters. Yep. Don't remember it too well.
Surprised your parents let that happen.
I saw it with some friends. I honestly don't even quite remember, but I know I saw it in theaters. Yep. So, yeah. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed our Festivus episode on Hot Frosty. Check it out. It's on Netflix right now. Give it a shot. See what you think. Give Lacey your money. So. We'll be back next week with another Christmas episode, or Festivus episode, I should say. If you want to hear that or be notified about it, subscribe to us on pretty much any podcast app you can think of, or whatever you listen to. We're on it. Subscribe, leave us a nice review. That always helps us out. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. You can follow us or like us on there. We have an email address, bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. Write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch, and we'll take that into consideration, viewer request. And you can also donate to us on our Patreon page or at Spotify. Whatever you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. We hope to see you back next time. Hopefully I'm healthier next time. And thanks for listening to our episode on Hot Frosty, and until then,
Take care.